More of the Zach Gelb Show on Fox Sports 920 The Jersey.
All right, welcome back in. We're getting ready for the big NBA draft coming up on Thursday night. Everyone in the city of brotherly love is in an exuberant mood because the Philadelphia 76ers now have the number 1 overall pick, and they will draft Markelle Fultz on Thursday. We'll also squeeze in a little Knicks talks as well, as Kristaps Porzingis could be on the move. But now let's go out to the hotline and welcome in a former NBA head coach and player. And you're also familiar with him with his days playing in Philadelphia, now doing some great work with iTrain Fundamentals with his defensive slide bar. For more information, iTrainFundamentals.com. And that is Lionel Hollins, who's kind enough to hop on board with us right now. Coach, appreciate a few minutes. Thanks for the time, and how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me.
Well, thank you for coming on. So what happened? You tried to go on with us about a few minutes ago, and you called into a game show. What happened there, Coach?
I was on the other line. Somebody calls me, and it's a Pennsylvania number. I call it back, and I enter some trivia sports show on the radio. And they asked me a question about who liked some particular group. Which group liked the team, and I didn't know. I pressed 1 and said, wrong. We got nothing for you, and they hung up.
How about that? Hey, well, we're not a game show. We're a sports talk show. Sometimes we act like a game show, but everyone here in Philadelphia, like I said, very happy that the Sixers now have the number 1 overall pick. When you heard the trade was finally announced yesterday, what was your reaction to the trade between the Sixers and the Celtics?
Well, at that point, first when they'd been talking trade and when Markelle Fultz went to visit Philly, you knew that they were talking trade, and he had to go visit before they would do the trade. And once they got their eyes on him and saw him and talked to him, they made their decision and they went and did the trade. I would think that they're going to draft him, but, they do have the number 1 pick, so they can take whomever they want at that position now that they have it. I'm sure the only person they can't take is the person that Boston said they would take. So, it is interesting and it's exciting for Philadelphia. And, Brian's not afraid to make a deal and pull the trigger and do some things. And, I've been around him and known him since he was a young whippersnapper getting started. And he moved right on up the ranks, and he's done great work in Phoenix, and he's done great work in Toronto. And I'm sure that he'll do great work in Philly.
Here on the East Coast, we don't get to see the Washington Huskies play that much, so people don't know a lot about Markelle Fultz. When you get to break down his tape or see him play, how do you view Markelle Fultz?
Well, I actually did not see him one time all year long.
Wow.
We don't in Memphis. We don't get the West Coast either, and so. But I have seen tape on him, and he's a very good offensive player. He gets his own shot. He's got good size, good athleticism. He shoots the ball. He kind of reminds me of D'Angelo Russell, different body style and everything, but he kind of reminds me of that kind of guy that just can score the ball. But, I like the commentary that I heard that his team only won 9 games. I mean, you can call it what you want, but, if he's the number 1 pick in the draft and his team only won 9 games, that's a little bit frightening for me. But, if he's shown all of that and that he has the ability to elevate his teammates and to make everybody around him good, great. But when you look at Philly, their last 2 number 1 picks, Ben Simmons and now if it is Fultz, both their guys came out and their teams were losing teams. I mean, I don't recall, some of the great ones playing on losing teams in college, but they may have, but I just don't recall it off the top of my head. But, you look at Kareem, you look at Magic, you look at Isaiah Thomas, Jordan, and, even some of the guys just below them, Worthy and all those guys. I mean, they tend to play on really good teams because they're really good players and they have a high impact on the games. So, either he had a lot of bad players around him or, he wasn't able to play with other guys and elevate them to another level, not meaning that he won't be able to develop that, but in that 1 year and then throughout his career, he hasn't been able to play that way. He's always been able to play for himself, which is true of a lot of young guys these days with the way the AAU is set up. And, the more points you score, the more guys that want to recruit you and the more notoriety you get. But that's the only thing that I can see that would cause me pause. It doesn't mean that I wouldn't draft him. It just makes me think.
I was talking to Rafael Chilius the other day, who did coach Markelle Fultz at Washington, and he said, I don't know what more he could have done except for to pass it out to someone, kick it out there for him, and then put the ball in the basket for them as well. As a coach, if you were talking with this kid leading up to the draft, how would you try to figure out if this 9 wins is really that big of a concern like some are making it out to be?
Well, I would just go back and watch tape. Just watch tape of his whole team, how they played. Because Washington over the last few years has had some very talented teams. And, when you start talking about Wilcox and Ross, Quincy Poindexter, Tony Roden, their teams weren't very good. And then they had talent. So not that any of those guys came to the NBA, by the way, and did anything spectacular. Ross has had a nice career thus far, but it's something that bodes well. Sometimes on the flip side of that, you can have great programs that have a lot of winning, and it's hard to find out who the real player is on those teams. And you go back to Indiana when Bobby Knight was there, a lot of his players didn't pan out. You go to UCLA, besides the great ones, a lot of UCLA players didn't pan out in the NBA because they had such a great system and a great core of players around that sometimes the guy who was the best player on those teams stood out a little more than he probably would have if he had to carry more of the load. So, it works both ways. But I think from my watching the guy in the tape that I watch, he's going to be a good player. Just what kind of impact he'll have is what his basketball IQ is, what his passion and competitiveness is for winning. Not just for playing and scoring points, but for winning, because we've had a lot of great players come through this league, and I'll name 2 off the top of my head, and it's not an indictment of them, but Pete Maravich made the playoffs twice in his 14-year career, and he was one of the great scorers in this league. And you look right now, Carmelo Anthony, since he's left Denver, he's been in a situation where he hasn't been able to elevate his teammates, and obviously it takes teammates to be good, but when you're a good player, you elevate the teammates that you have as well. So it works both ways, and I'm sure Melo waiving his right to be, for his trade clause means that he wants to go and play for a winning team.
Lionel Hollins with us right now. iTrainFundamentals.com. We'll talk about the defensive slide bar in just a second. Getting back to Fultz, I'm fascinated to see how him and Simmons and him and Embiid, they're going to play together on the court, because I see a great vision of Simmons setting some picks and then Fultz getting him the basketball as well, Coach.
Well, what I see with them is I believe if Embiid is healthy, everybody will be playing around Embiid.
Agreed.
Whether he's posting up or whether he's in the pick and roll, but you have multiple playmakers. If folks can play make, he will help the team tremendously, because we already know that Simmons is a good playmaker, and so some of the players that they had in the past will be able to help, and they'll be a team that can move the ball and play from side to side, play a little quicker, and still play with the passion that they've showed the last couple of years with Brett Brown as the coach. So I don't think that we have to worry about who's going to be in the pick and roll. It's going to be by committee pick and roll, because if you got Simmons that can handle the ball, if you got folks can handle the ball, and anybody else that's left on the team or anybody else that they bring to the team, it doesn't matter who's setting the pick. Is the fact that these guys can go and make plays, and you got to worry about them. So one of the things that people have talked about is the defense and whether or not these guys can play defense. But when you got a passionate leader like Embiid, who can guard the rim, who can rebound, who plays with such enthusiasm and with such passion, he's very competitive. The play he got hurt on, he chased a guy down to block his shot, and he slipped funny and hurt his knee. But, it shows that he cares about winning.
We make so much in Philadelphia and New Jersey about the process with the Sixers. Since you were a coach in the division, how did you view the process when it came into town and you had to play the Philadelphia 76ers?
Well, I didn't look at the process. I just looked at the team that we had to face. And even when I was in Memphis all the way to Brooklyn, coming to town, they were tough to play at home because they always have played hard. But, I tell people all the time, playing hard is something that you shouldn't even have to talk about. Every team plays hard, but you do need players, and you can't have an overabundance of players that all have come from the D League or have been out of the league or haven't been drafted. There's players that come up and make it in the league and do really well, but the league is made up of guys who have proven that they can get it done on any level, and they come into the NBA and they get it done. And then you have the role players around them that are pretty good. Role players can't be players that can't play. They have to be players that also can play. They're just not on the level talent-wise or ability to get things done in the NBA. I mean, you look at every team that wins, they have role players that do their job, but they do it so well, they become I know everybody thinks Draymond Green is a Hall of Famer. I think he's an outstanding player, but he's shown that he is a above average role player. He's not the star of that team, but what he does so well that he's become a star. And that's what you expect out of guys that are role players. If they can get to that level, you're going to have a good team.
As a coach, what are the strengths of Brett Brown to you?
It's hard for me to judge other coaches. When I go and coach, I'm coaching my team. I don't really worry about what the coach is going to do. I know what his system is and how they're trying to play and who they're trying to go to. And, beyond that, I don't know. I mean, I don't even get into substitution because everybody has to substitute according to the personnel they have. And even when you start talking about styles, everybody has to play according to the personnel they have. Everybody can't play like the Warriors. Everybody can't even play like Cleveland. You got to play the way you are. And I think Brett's done a nice job of getting those guys to play together and try to play winning basketball with not as much talent as some of the other teams that they go up against. And that is an important attribute to have, so that when you get talent, it's actually going to be harder to get your group to play on that level because they think that they're equal and they may not work as hard. So, Brett's been in a good position so far, and he's done a great job. And now with talent, you got to get the talented players to do the same thing that the guys who had less talent did. Because, when you have a team of guys that aren't in the league and trying to get in the league, they're going to bust their butt for you, and they're going to do what you want them to do. But, when you get to the level of having the Embiids, the Simmons, and the Fultz, and whomever else they decide to have on their team, then it becomes more challenging to get those guys to, one, play together, and two, play to win.
Lionel Hollins with us, wrapping up with the former NBA player and also head coach. Something I'm still scratching my head about today are the possible rumors that Kristaps Porzingis could be on the move. What do you make out of these rumors, Coach?
Well, it's draft time. When you think about draft time, everybody's on the phone. Everybody's calling you about players, and all it takes is one of you guys, and maybe not you guys as radio guys, but one of the media people get a wind of it, and then they put it out there, or they just speculate because of whatever. There's always a lot of speculation going on, and as soon as you throw it out there on the internet or wherever, it becomes viral, and everybody's speaking it as its truth. So I don't know. I think he's a very good piece for the Knicks. He's developed very nicely. He's obviously got to get stronger, but he's shown that he has the skill and the talent to be a big-time player. And with his size and ability to go out and shoot threes and also post up, I mean, the players that play 4 and 5 that can shoot threes and post up are going to be invaluable. Just being a three-point shooter and non-rebounder, I think in time, defenses are going to catch up with that stretch 4 and stretch 5 that only stand on a three-point line. But the ones that can do that or also put the ball on the floor and drive and make a play, those are the guys that are going to be invaluable in the future with the way the league is turning and playing.
We all know as a coach how bright Phil Jackson has been in this league and how much success that he's had. But so far with the Knicks, he's had zero success, and the only piece that he was able to bring in really a significant value and a team that you can move forward and build with has been Porzingis. Do you have any confidence that Phil can turn this thing around in New York?
Well, it's not my job to have confidence or not have confidence in Phil. That's the New York fans and the New York ownership that hired Phil. I don't even get into those types of things. Phil has been a great contributor to the NBA for a number of years as a player and as a coach, and now he's getting his chance at management. But the difficult thing when you're a great coach and you move into the front office is that you're not coaching them. Even if you acquire players, you're not coaching them. You have to have somebody in place that has your vision, if that's what you want, a particular vision, or if you're going to let a coach go and do what he wants to do. Everything revolves around who's coaching and who you get for him to coach. And most coaches feel the same way I do. I coach whoever you have on the squad, and I'll do it to the best of my ability. But ultimately, the general manager has to supply a certain amount of talent, certain amount of IQ, certain amount of mental toughness and competitiveness, so that coach can get the most out of them, so they have opportunity to win.
And that's what I think the problem is with Phil right now. He's so attached to the triangle because of the success that he's had, but also he's showing up to some practices with the clipboard still. Like, you can't be doing that as an executive.
Why not?
Why not? Because he's got to let his coach. He's got to let his coach. He's trying to control these guys too much. You just said it.
Well, listen. When you are in charge, you can actually do what you want.
He can, but it's not smart.
Well, you think that Phil is the only executive that comes to practice? You don't think Mark Cuban comes to practice? Mark Cuban sits on the end of the bench and behind the bench. So come on. I mean, there's ways to go and get it done. I mean, I'm not against the triangle at all. I think it's great for ball movement. I think the game has, I don't know if I could call it evolved away from ball movement and passing and cutting and screening to more of a pick and roll game. Two guys in the middle of the court, pick and roll, and everybody else spread. There's not very much ball passing and movement. And to me, it is a little bit, when I say easier, I mean, you don't have to move, you don't have to navigate screens, so that makes it less difficult. But, you still got to stop the great players that are involved in the pick and roll, whether it be the screener who can catch and shoot or put it on the floor, or the guy coming off the screen. So, but still believes in the triangle. There's a lot of coaches that believe in what they do. Nobody knocked D'Antoni when he went to the Lakers and tried to make Pau Gasol a stretch five. I mean stretch four. So, he believed in what he did. It didn't work, and he moved on to another place, and he got the team he needed, and it's worked. And he's shown that he's still a great coach. He just believes in his system. You can't knock a coach for what he believes. If it works, everybody's raving about it. But if it doesn't work, everybody's criticizing. But you as an individual have to believe and do what you think is right for you to make you feel comfortable, because if you're not comfortable and you're not having success, you're going to get fired. So you might as well be comfortable with what you're doing and take a chance that way. At least you did it the way you believe in, and you feel comfortable about it. So if it doesn't work and you get fired, you can say, hey, I tried to do it my way and it didn't work.
Well, I'll tell you how this is going to play out.
An old GM told me this. He was the owner and GM, Jerry Colangelo, said one of the attributes of a coach is you got to motivate, you got to communicate, and you have to be flexible.
No, I'll tell you how this is going to play out. It's not going to work. He'll be here for 2 more years, and then they'll be back at square one trying to fix this thing for the future. And the Knicks, I just don't see where their future is right now. Lionel, before we let you run, I Train Fundamentals, this defensive slide bar. I watched the video today on your website at itrainfundamentals.com. This thing looks awesome. Tell us a little bit about it.
Well, it's a device that I created that helps players learn defensive technique, footwork, and stance. It's a bar, PVC bar with stretch bungee strap running through it, and then ankle straps to go around your ankles, obviously. And it allows you to get in a defensive stance, keep your feet shoulder width apart. You can bring them apart further, but you can't bring them close because of the bar in the middle. You can do slides, you can do closeouts, wing denials, all kinds of stuff that improves your technique, improves your footwork. Also, it's a great conditioner because it strengthens your hip flexors, it strengthens your inner thighs and your legs in general. And it's going pretty good. I'm excited about where we are and the future and what it holds. And I'm happy, that I was able to financially be able to develop it to take it to market, because it takes a lot of money in order to put any kind of product out there for the public.
Once again, that's itrainfundamentals.com. Let me ask you two more things. Lonzo Ball, he's going to walk into a locker room soon, and his dad says a lot of controversial things. Do you think that could be a problem in the locker room if the dad is criticizing some of the coaches and the teammates?
Well, the only place that I've heard that Lonzo Ball's father criticized a coach was in high school, and he was a guy that worked for LeVar Ball, and he got him hired at the high school. Other than that, he didn't do anything at UCLA. Lonzo Ball's father is not the first father that's been dominating or domineering in terms of, his son. And he's probably been the most outspoken to the general public, but there's been dominating fathers behind the scenes calling general managers, calling coaches throughout the history of this game. So I don't think that he'll be a problem. The kid's going to play. How great he's going to be, I don't know. But I tell you what, if he does go to the Lakers and with the athletes that they have and the other people that they potentially could put on their team, they're going to be a team that can run, and they'll have a director. You can't run without somebody that can push the ball, somebody that can see the court, and somebody that can make the correct passes, and then you got to have finishers. So, with this kid, if he goes to the Lakers and they have a couple of finishers, they're going to run, they're going to play up-tempo, they're going to be exciting. He didn't have to score 30 points. He didn't have to get 15 assists, but he probably will get double-figure assists. He's a lot quicker and a lot faster than people give him credit for. And, when he's open, he doesn't struggle to make shots. He has a funny-looking shot, but so did Jamal Wilkes. So did Reggie Miller. But all that matters is that you're consistent with it.
And then finally, just bringing it back to Philadelphia, you played here for the Sixers, were a part of a lot of good teams with some great players. Just reflect about your time in Philadelphia.
It's funny, a lot of people have watched the 30 for 30 with the Lakers in Boston, and obviously there was some footage in there of Philly playing the Lakers, Philly's playing Boston, and they said, well, we saw you. And I was like, yeah. I said, it's interesting. We won 63 games one year and finished second to Boston. And in the 3 years I was in Philly, we beat Boston in the Eastern Conference Finals twice. But unfortunately, we lost to the Lakers twice. And the 1 year we lost to Boston, they went and played Houston and won the championship. So, it wasn't the Lakers to be faced. So we had, I tell you, great moments, great team. I mean, we won a lot of games. We had a lot of success. We just couldn't get over the hump. And unfortunately, a couple of those guys have passed on, and Caldwell Jones and Daryl Dawkins are both dear friends of mine, and I'm still close with Mo Cheeks, and I talk to every now and then. I can't even say every now and then. I text Doc from time to time to see how he's doing. And all in all, I'm excited that I had the opportunity to play with Julius Erving, who's one of the great players, and also excited to play with Bobby Jones, who's one of the all-time great people, along with Mo Cheeks. You can't find better people than Bobby Jones and Mo Cheeks, and I'm just thankful that I had that opportunity to play in Philly, and for the fans who were rabid and wild and crazy and informed, and they let you know when you weren't playing the way they thought you should play, or even up to your expectations. So, it was all fun.
Well, Lionel, we appreciate the time. Can't thank you enough. And maybe you should send one of these defensive slide bars to the Sixers and also the Knicks. They could use it, all right?
Get Embiid healthy, and then that'll solve that problem.
Hey, we're praying he can stay healthy. Thanks so much, Lionel.
Thank you for having me. I really appreciate the time.
There's Lionel Hollins with us on the Zach Gelb Show, Fox Sports 920 The Jersey. I get it. He's a former coach. You can't be defending Phil Jackson right now. He's been abysmal in New York. And the problem with Phil is he's an awful communicator right now inside the New York Knicks organization, and it's getting Kristaps Porzingis very frustrated. And it also ruined the relationship with Carmelo Anthony with all the cryptic tweets and all that nonsense. And then with Phil Jackson, my point is, you can't be showing up to practices anymore still trying to coach. If you still want to coach, get your butt on the sideline. I don't need you there with the white clipboard. And I get it, he's a valuable resource, but I haven't seen any valuable, really great shining moments in New York with the Knicks. So good stuff out of Lionel Hollins. We appreciate it. Once again, I Train Fundamentals, the defensive slide bar. Visit itrainfundamentals.com. We'll take a break here. We're overdue for a break. 4:40 is the time in the Princeton Orthopedic Associates studios. When we come back, we will talk some more Sixers with Bob Cooney, who covers the team. He'll join us next.